Now let's look at problem 2. In this problem, we are asked to add in base 2. So let's start. 1 plus 0 is going to be 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 in base 2 is actually 2. But once the number is 2, or the number is 2 or greater than 2, and you are solving in base 2, you can't write that particular number there because we use just 0 and 1 in binary. So what do? You divide this number by the base. So 2 divided by 2, we know is going to give us 1, remainder 0. Then we write the remainder. So when I write the remainder, we'll have 0. Then I carry this 1 over to this place. The 1 here, I carry it over. The remainder, I wrote it here. So now, what is the next step? The next step is adding this. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. Now 3 is greater than the base. So we do it this way. 3 divided by the base, which is 2. We know it's going to be 1, remainder 1. So we write the remainder here, 1. Then this particular 1 here, we write it over here. Now 1 plus nothing, which is more like 0, is 1. Now 1 is in that base, so we can write 1. So it means the addition of this plus this will give us 1, 1, 0, 1, 1 in base 2. Now let's move to the next base. In this base, we are adding in base 8. Base 8. So how do we add in base 8? 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 is equal to the base, so we can't do it that way. So rather we write 8 divided by this base. So 8 divided by this base, 8 will give us 1, remainder 0. Then we write the remainder there, 0. And this one we carry it over here. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. So we have 10 divided by 8, which will give us 1, remainder 2. We write out the remainder. The remainder is going to be here. 2, we carry out the 1 over here. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8 again. Then we do 8 divided by 8, which is what? 1, remainder 0. We write out the 0 here. Take the 1 over here. 1 plus nothing, which is more like 0, is 1. Then we write it here. So it means 3, 4, 5 plus 4, 5, 3 will give us 1, 0, 2, 0, base 8. 1, 0, 2, 0 in base 8. Now let's move to the third problem. The third problem is in base 7. So how do we add in base 7? It means all the numbers we are going to get is going to be between 0 and 6. So now 6 plus 4 is 10. 6 plus 4 is 10. So what do we do? Say 10 divided by 7. 10 divided by 7 will give us what? 1, remainder 3. Now that 3, which is the remainder, we write it here. Then we carry out the 1 over here. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 is in the same base, so we can write it here. We write the 5 here. Then 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 is also in this base, so we have 5, 5, 3 in base 7. Now let's move to subtraction in base 4. Subtraction in base 4. 1 minus 2, which we know is impossible, so we borrow 4 from here. If we're using our number base 10, we say let's just borrow 10 from here, then here becomes 11. But in this case, we are in base 4. So base 4 calculation is quite different. It's just like the number you're collecting here is actually the base. So this is 4. Now 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 minus 2 is 3. Then we have 1 remaining here. 1 can also not subtract 3. So what do? We borrow 1 from here. It remains 2 here. We borrow 4, rather, not 1. We borrow 4. Now I have 4 plus 1, which is 5. 5 minus 3 is what? 2 in base 4. Now we have 2 over here. 2 cannot subtract 3 in base 4. So what do? We borrow another 4 from here and place it here. Then this remain 1. So 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 minus 3 is 3. Then we have 1 minus 1, which is what? 0. So this is more like 3, 2, 3 base 4 for the subtraction. And let's move to the next one. The next one is in base 2. Now 1 minus 1 in base 2 is 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. 0 minus 1, we borrow 1 from here. We have 0 here. We have just Now in this case, we are in base 2, so instead of saying we borrow 1, which is a tenth, we borrow 2 in this case, because we borrow the base in whatever base we are actually working on. So this is going to be 2 minus 1, which is 1. Then we have 0 minus 0, 0. 1 minus 1 is what? 0. And 1 minus 0 is what? 1. So this is the solution for that. Now let's move to base 6. Base 6. To subtracting base 6. 3 minus 2 is 1 in base 6. 1 minus 2, impossible. We remove 1 from here, this remain 1. But this 1 we are removing is going to be 6 because we are dealing with base 6. So 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 minus 2 is 5. So now we move to the next one. The next one is 1. It cannot subtract 5. So what do? We borrow from here. This will remain 3. Then whatever we borrow is the base, which is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 minus 5 is 2. So what do we have here? 3 minus 3, which is 0. So it means the subtraction as this is 2, 5, 1 in base 6. We can't call it 251 because we are not using base 10. The number stops at 5, so we call it 251 base 6. Thank you. Remember, mathematics is the word, and the word is mathematical. Thank you.